Hey guys, okay, we are live. Let me get this to be tiny. Let me know that you are here. Hey guys, okay, we are live. And let me put that. Let me get this to be. Okay, sorry about that. Sometimes it takes me a little second to get everything where I need it to be. All right, let me know if you are here. I see there are a couple of you there. So message me, say hello. If you are watching this on replay, go ahead and probably speed up the next couple minutes because you're probably not going to want to hear me just talk about nothing. So I just want to give a couple minutes to let everybody get on. Like I said, go ahead and make sure that you say hello so that I know you are there. And then we will get started in about a minute or two. Beep, beep, beep. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should be able to see a chat box to the right. Should probably be the left, sit that way. Or maybe this way. I don't know. All right, so let's get started, guys. Like I said, if you're watching on the replay, this is probably where you want to pick up and start. I want to introduce myself to people that don't know me. Hello, I am Shannon Davis. Nice to meet everybody. I am a digital business law attorney. Yes, that is what I do. That is what I practice. I am from Tennessee, where I am licensed and in good standing. Thank you very much. And I started Brylet about a year ago. So Brylet is basically a digital business law blog that really goes through some of the finer aspects of owning and running an online digital business. A couple of those things are, entities and contracts and things like that. So I want to discuss something that I love, which is contracts, and something that is really going to make your business a lot more legit. So the whole point of this webinar is to make sure your terms of service are legit. And I'm actually pulling up something on my phone because I'm going to be discussing that later. So there's some of you are probably watching right now. And again, if you haven't said hello, please do. That may be confused at what I'm talking about because you're like, oh, terms of service, terms of condition, terms of use, blah. Okay, so we're going to go into very quick detail about what I'm talking about before we actually dive into the nitty gritty. Okay, so terms and conditions. Terms and conditions are what you see on your website. Okay, so that's like if you say, look, I'm going to a website, here's my terms and conditions, what you can do on the website, what you can't do, privacy policies, those are different than what I'm actually going to be talking about. But I wanted to do a quick overview of some of the highlights of terms and conditions so you kind of understand what I'm talking about and the difference. So they are very similar. They're a contract. They're a contract between you and your viewer, you and your reader. And then a terms of service / terms of use is a contract between you and the person buying your product. So there's a lot more legal intimacy. I'm not even sure if that sounds kind of dirty, but it's not. A lot more legal intimacy between you and somebody buying your product versus somebody that just happens to stumble upon your website. So terms and conditions, that's what's going to be on your website. Most of you probably have it. They're gonna say things like, I'm gonna waive all my liability of a third person coming on here and commenting and doing something crazy. Crazy is not a legal term, but things like something foul, something against the Constitution, something that is derogatory, flammable, loud, things like that. And those are the things that are going to protect you as a website owner. Now, I'm going to take a pause here for just a second to see if anybody has any questions about what a terms and conditions is versus what a terms of service / terms of use, because that's really a distinct different thing. as far as what we're talking about. You will hear them interchanged quite a bit, but they are very distinct in what we're talking about. So if you do have a question, I want to cover that right now because it's not fun to have questions and not getting them answered. And unfortunately, this is not a one-on-one conversation, so I can't just answer them. Can we interlink them on the blog? If you're talking about just terms and conditions, yes, you can put them on your blog, but make sure they are very noticeable, very, very noticeable. You want your terms and conditions to be something that people do not have to search for, that they can instantly see. And if you're in something, a type of field or a type of service type industry where there could be a lot more liability, you may even want to have a pop-up that says you agree to these terms and conditions, because people are going to your website. If you can, like health and parents, where you're saying like, hey, you should do this and this with your kids. Those are two industries that I really like to tell people to watch themselves on, because when you're dealing with somebody's kids, you're going to get mama bear. And when you're dealing with somebody's health, you're going to get their instincts to want to protect themselves. So usually just putting a big sentence that says terms and conditions, please apply, please check, should be enough for just your website. Okay, so now that I've answered that, I want to move a little bit forward. Terms of service / terms of use. Like I said, they all can be interchanged, but what we're talking about, if somebody comes to your website and they say, hey, I like your product, or hey, I like your service, or hey, there's something that they like that they want to buy from you. And this is something that this webinar arose because of a conversation I was having with a friend who is selling a product. And this product it's a digital product. And this digital product, you can easily download, you can easily send it out, and you can easily go on and go about your life. But, ooh, dramatic pause. But terms of service and terms of use come into play very heavy-handedly when you are talking about selling a product. So I want to discuss two very distinct topics when you're talking about terms of service and terms of use. There are two terms called clickwrap and browse wrap. Yes. If you don't know what that means, I'm about to tell you. So browse wrap is something like when you see terms and conditions. They're kind of like, oh, go to our terms and conditions when buying this product. Oh, scroll, okay, you bought it, fine. Clickwrap is the opposite of that. Clickwrap makes you make an affirmative decision. So, for example, if you bought a product from me and it says, please read our terms and conditions very carefully in all bold letters, and then list down, whatever it may be, and you say, I accept, and you say download, or I agree, and you click it, and it sends you a link, or whatever that means. That's an affirmative step. That affirmative step is very important. Very important. So, how important is it? So important that the courts have actually said that very few cases of browse wrap, which is like, oh, please read and it links, or there's just a please read and it's just a link to your terms of services. Now, I want to take a step back for just a second. That is people buying your products. It's not talking about your website itself. These are people buying your products. These are people actually handing over their money to you, which you can see is a pretty big deal for them and for you. So when you have a product that you are selling, it doesn't have to be physical, or in other cases, it doesn't have to be just digital. When they are buying your product, you should have something that says a terms of service / terms of use. And I want to read this from the courts. This is how important this is. A customer's clicking on download. This is from a court case, and then I'll give you that citation because I'm so sure you're so interested in that. But, I'm going to cross my T's and dot my I's. But a customer's clicking on a download button does not communicate assent to contractual terms if the offer did not make clear to the consumer that clicking on the download button would signify assent to those terms. So, and that is Step v. Netscape. So I'm going to put that right there, just the case itself. The Netscape. So if you ever want to look it up because you're a nerd like me. So essentially what that means is a lot of us have, okay, I bought the product, push download for a digital product. And then everybody goes about their merry way until something happens. Until something happens. And that's the key little tidbit right there. Until something happens. So in these cases, essentially what usually has happened is there's an argument. This guy wants to sue somebody that they've downloaded their product, or that they've looked at the browser app, or they've done the clickwrap, or whatever it may be. And depending on what the company did, the company said, you have to mediate if you have an issue with us, or you have to arbitrate, which means it keeps it out of the courts. So what happens is that person then sues the company saying, that doesn't apply to me because I just clicked download, or I just said, I agree. And the courts are pretty distinctive outside of some small cases that say you have to assent, which means you have to make that extra step. You have to take that extra step as a buyer and as a company. You have to make your customer take that extra step to say, I agree. I agree. So, for good practice measures, what this all means, and then I'm going to open the floor to question and answering, because this is a really big thing. Like, this is huge for your businesses. If you sell anything, this is huge. Okay? So, what this means is if you sell a digital product and they say, or a physical product, and it says, oh, I love this product, I can't wait to buy it. I go to put in cart or whatever, and I click to get ready to check out. You have to have something in your website, and there are some services, and I did not write those down, and my friend Leslie Levo is going to kick my butt, but let me pull that up for you because I don't want it kicked. Let's see here. Sorry here. Leslie. Okay, let's see. So one of the services is Thrive Architect. And essentially what they do is they help you build your terms of service, that when people are going to check out, they have to click, I accept, I agree, or they agree to all these things. So what that means for your business is that you're adding a contract between you and the buyer that is being affirmed by the buyer, not just there. Because one of the three prongs of creating a contract is offer, acceptance, consideration. And part of that is both people have to know what's going on. And a lot of the courts have said this browse wrap where you just lollygag around and, oh, look, it's there. A poor browse wrap. Now, there are occasions where browse wrap's okay, but a poor browse wrap will make the consumer win. And it doesn't have to be a very good claim, but if there's no contract in place, then it's all up for grabs. All those liabilities you waived in that terms of service that didn't get accepted, gone. So one thing you need to really consider is what product you have, how to put that terms of use, terms of service in place. Like I said, Thrive Architect is one. So that when a person goes to buy your product, whether it be digital or physical, that they have to assent. Because yes, there's some case law that says, oh, browse wrap, it might, whatever. But I will leave this to you. Is it worth it to say, hey, will I try it with the court to see if my browse wrap works when I know clickwrap will work? And again, clickwrap says they have to affirm. They have to say, yes, I agree. So that's one thing that I would really, really want to push for this webinar is take that extra step to protect yourself and your business by go ahead and implementing that clickwrap. It's simple. You need terms of service, terms of use, and it's essentially just a contract. All the provisions of a contract. And the courts have said on the top, it says, read very, blah, 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 read very carefully. Please read. Okay? That's what it says. Make sure that you are reading it. Okay? I'm sorry. Somebody called me during. Make sure that you are putting something at the top that says, please read carefully. Terms of service will apply. Something that alerts them. Any clause that you have in there needs to be bolded. Okay? So that people quickly reading it will know what they're looking at. Because just because you didn't read the contract as a buyer doesn't mean it doesn't apply to you. And that's what the courts have said. As long as it's a properly formed, there's plenty of notice, which is why there's plenty of notice, then it's on the buyer. Okay, now I see that there are some questions, and I want to make sure I get to those because we're about 20 minutes in. And I just want to stress before I answer questions that, yes, Janet did say Thrive Architect. Yes, it is one that I've heard. Leslie Cleve has told me that. It's one that works, and it is a very important. And I will take some questions, and I do want to go over maybe one or two clauses that are really important, if that's something people are interested in. And then open the floor back up. And then I have a special announcement at the end of this. But I do want to give everybody the opportunity to ask questions and everything. Okay, so my niche is a personal finance and stress related to it, but I'm not yet including any services in it. It's just article and knowledge base for people to use as reference. So I need both terms and conditions well terms of service. So terms and conditions, if you don't have any products, there's no need for terms of service or terms of use because they're not buying anything from you. But definitely need terms of condition. If you're dealing with people's health and if you're dealing with people's life, then you definitely need to make sure that you have disclaimers that if you're not a doctor, make sure you put that you're not a doctor and things like that. Okay. So that actually brought in something that I'm glad it didn't. Okay. So terms and condition, well, terms of service, they use a plugin. A plugin that builds it for them. And I want people to be careful with anything that they use as a template and take a template at face value, okay? Because templates are great starting points, but that's what they are. They are great starting points. Every business, like every single individual, is completely different. No matter if you have one almost exactly like the person next to you, they're still different. So there's are things that you want to make sure that your terms of service, terms of use have. And I want to go over, since that's kind of leading to this, I want to go over some of those things that a terms of service, terms of use would have. One, a refund policy, my friends, because you're selling a product. A good, solid refund policy, letting people know what they can do if they don't like your product. If it's a physical product, can they ship it back? How long do they have to ship it back? What condition does it have to be in? If it's a digital product, obviously we can't ship digital products back. We can't. Love to, but that's probably some privacy issues there. But if they don't like your product, what can they do? Do they have a certain amount of time? Is that a reasonable amount of time? Now, these are questions I can't answer for you unless knowing about your business. But a refund policy, and a strong one, will leave the buyer knowing exactly where they lay if something happens. Like if they say they bought an ebook from you and they were iffy about the ebook, they want their money back. In that refund policy, because they affirm, because that's what we just talked about, it says no refunds. No refunds. Then you can just say, hey, this was the terms of service. This was the terms of use. You have to click to agree to move forward, to download this. You do not get a refund. I'm sorry. No dispute there. They may try, but you're looking at you've covered your butt. Okay, liability clauses. Waivers. Waivers of all warranties. You want to make sure you waive all those warranties or promises that are innate that you can. So, you don't want to say, if you sell books on, let's say, how to make $1 million, you want to waive all liability for potential results. Results may vary type things. You want to make sure those are in your contract. A big issue that I've seen throughout this time, governing law, jurisdiction type clauses. You need them. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you're on digital world like us, obviously, if you run an online business, you need to have a governing law and a jurisdiction clause. What those are says if there's an issue, you have to come to certain state and certain states' laws will apply. Why are those important? It gives you home court advantage. So those are the 3 really important clauses. Yeah, 3 that really need to make sure that are in there, because especially with digital products, that refund policy really needs to be in there, because if they don't like your book or they don't like your download or they don't like your course or whatever it may be, it needs to be that in there. All right, so I'm going to take about 5 minutes to see if anybody has any more questions. So while I'm waiting on questions to come in, if they do, I want to really stress the importance of this, because this is the difference between you not having a contract with somebody that buys your product and having a contract that somebody buys with their product. So in any case, in any type of product that you sell, you have to make sure that you have something. And this is the difference between something being enforceable and something not being. And what's the point of going through all the trouble and putting the terms of service and putting the terms of use in place if you aren't following what the case law says? The case law says you need that affirmative step. And that really is the difference between your contract being enforceable and your contract not being enforceable. So that is just, it's huge. So that is a great question. My target customer across the globe, how to ensure the terms of service and terms of use are global customers, they serve equally well. Well, one thing is you're going to write the contract for the state or this country, depending on where you are, the state usually that you're in. That means the contract, the governing law is going to be the state that you're in. So if there is a dispute, It comes to your state. It comes to your wherever. So that's a very good question, but that's what the governing law and the jurisdiction calls help, because you're going to be writing based on what state you're in. So it doesn't matter if somebody from China tries to sue you, they're going to have to come here in most cases. Now, sometimes jurisdiction clauses and stuff gets struck down, but usually they get upheld and they will have to come to your state. So you're writing it based on your state. Okay, let's see, can you talk about location-specific terms of service? About the location of specific terms. Now, I'm going to have to ask you to clarify. Can you talk about location-specific terms of service? Are you talking about like where you should put it physically, or am I missing that? Okay, well, maybe they'll write back. So you will see if you go to the description, and actually, let me see here. If you go to the description, you'll see that there is a link there. And that will bring you to my website. Let's see, I'm trying to do all the things at the same time. Oh, I'm glad that I answered that for you. I'm glad that was what you were talking about. Anyway, so if you go to the link, let's see here. There we go. I'm trying to get 3 screens up. I really need like 3 different computers so I can like move around. But that's not happening right now. So if you go to that link, it'll bring you to a website page. That website page is a course I am going to be offering to launch March 15th. And that course is going to include this, and it's also going to include a couple more topics. What do I need to know to start my business? So some of you at the beginning, this is going to be like your LLCs, your entities, your corporations. What does that mean for your business? What does that mean for you and protection-wise? Then it's going to go to what should you know on a day-to-day basis? Contracts. We're going to get 4 sample contracts, and we're going to go through each one of those, kind of explaining what those terms means, so you can actually learn how to write contracts yourself. I don't suggest it though, but you'll at least be able to read them, know what's going on. Is your website legal? This is going to go back to those terms and conditions that we talked about at the beginning. It's going to go to what you should know on your website. Does everything look good? Then we're going to go to IP law. How can trademarks and copyrights protect you? Trademarks, copyrights, very 2 distinctive different things. You're going to learn about what those are, what the distinctions are. And you're also going to learn about how they can protect you and your business and how you should register them. And then you're going to learn more about this topic. Can I protect my products? Digital, physical. We're really going to go in depth, and I mean like an hour long in depth about this topic alone. And really look at some of those terms of service, terms of use, so you know exactly what you should be looking at. And then if you're a blogger, there's a special bloggers course that's going to go with affiliate links. It's going to go with all those types of things. Affiliate links, sponsored emails, that type of thing. So that course is, sorry, I'm getting comfy now. That course is going on sale right now for pre-order for $197. And up until March 15th, you can ask for a refund at any point on that. But it is on pre-order right now for $197. Once March 15th hits, it'll only be at $197 for 1 week, and then it's going to go up to $297. And to add a bonus for everybody watching, or watching the replay, because this is not going to go out in email blast. This is not going to go out anything like this. The first 5 people to pre-order this course, it's a 30-minute call with me. That's to discuss anything they need to about legalities of their business, and that's 30 minutes, and that's only for the first 5 people to sign up. Okay? And if you have any questions about that course or anything, I'm going to open this back up for questions. If you have any questions about the course or any questions about anything we've just talked about, go ahead and message me right now. I'm going to open the floor back up for questions for about 2 or 3 more minutes, and then I've got to go pick my daughter up. So, glad to see everybody that showed up. I appreciate it. This is going back on replay. And because I have offered that 5-person 30 minutes with me deal, this will only be on replay for about 48 hours. So then after that, it's going down and it'll be gone forever. Because, you know. Okay, any last minute questions? Because this is important. This is an important step. Hugely important. Let's make sure this is doing right. Okay, let's see. Oh, what did I do? Okay, let's minimize that. Bring you over here. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. The best attorneys do that. They talk to themselves. That's what I'm going with. So I don't see any more questions. Like I said, the replay will be up for about 48 hours on this one. If you have any questions, any at all, you can put them here and I will check them for a little bit until this goes down. Or you can email me. And thank y'all so much for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the questions. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me. I'm a pretty open book. I like to answer questions about contracts because I'm a big nerd. And it's one of my passions. So please feel free to email me or contact me. All right, guys. You'll have an amazing rest of the week. It is Wednesday, so you have Thursday and Friday. Again, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, this replay will be only up for about 48 hours. So it'll probably be out till about Friday night because I will probably forget to do this at 4:34 on Friday. So it'll probably be up till probably midnight or something on Friday. All right. Thank you so much. I'm glad it was helpful. Thank y'all.